Welcome to another episode of the Reboot Chronicles, a no-holds-barred forum with global leaders, authors, entrepreneurs, and CEOs about how organizations stay focused on growth and innovation in unprecedented times. I'm your host, Dean DeVias, coming to you live from Reviv's North American headquarters in Chicago, and we would like to thank you for joining us from around the globe today. I'd like to welcome Lynnwood Bibbens to the Reboot Chronicles. He is a serial entrepreneur and founder and CEO of ReachTV, America's largest in-airport TV network, with thousands of screens across airports, bars, restaurants, lounges, and concourses, newsstands, you name it. ReachTV targets over 128 million travels and mobile consumers who spends billions of dollars per month. Lynnwood, it's good to see you.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, always good to have a serial entrepreneur on that knows the pain and keeps going and does it again. So a lot of viewers that know you're coming on had a question about why, of all the things you could have done next, why'd you start Reach TV?
It's kind of funny. It was sitting there with a friend and wanted to watch. I'm a big Law and Order fan. I'm a big sports fan,
yeah.
and it was we were having a drink, and it was like, all right, well, I want to go to duty free, and I'm like, I want to sit here, but I had promised I'd go there, so it was like, how do I start to bring that content with me? And then it was just funny, just sitting there, looking at the screens, going, why isn't someone programmed that screen exactly the way I'd want to have it? Is there anybody doing that? And doing some quick research of, number one, knowing how many people go through the airports, didn't even know that. How much money is spent in the airports, didn't know that either. And then saw how the programming was stale and people were just not, it was causing more issues inside the airport. Could I do it? And so it's how could I reimagine something that hadn't been changed in 20, 30 years? And that's what made me excited and made me do Reach.
Perfect target market. It's, someone who's in an airport twice a week, me. It used to be the worst environments in the world. Now, if you go in some of the new airports, so those of you who've gone through the new terminal at Newark, it is all designed better than a shopping mall, and they know how to make the money. But you're right, a lot of the programming was just stale. Like CNN's efforts were, just tough. They were just repeat.
Yes.
And so, how'd you reboot that category? I think you even picked up their locations too.
Yeah. Well, first off, we came up with a new process, which was we were all going to be about truth and positivity.
All right.
So we weren't going to do news. Yeah, we weren't going to do news. And if we did news, it was only going to be really kind of bullet points, not 3 people killed here and none of that. We didn't want to be in that. And we didn't do any political opinion pieces as well. I think that you can get that from your phone or you can get that at home. You don't need us for that.
Especially in the airport. I think everybody's staring at their phones. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think
you're right. And that content just makes people more angry. They're already in an airport, which is not fun.
Exactly. And I think inherently one thing, from a psychological perspective, I'm a big research guy, was when people travel, they already feel a little guilty and they have there's a lot of pressure, right? And so the last thing you need to do is incite that guilt and pressure. And I think that's where you have divisiveness when you had, either you're far right or far left, either one. That's really, my goal is to reach everyone.
Right.
And so
Smart.
Truth and positivity, you can reach them. And I think that's how we really started and how we really got into the airport, and really why we were able to get adopted so quickly and scale so quickly. The other one was we really focused on, how people consume content. As we started seeing, people like to get short form content. They like to get quick bites. They want information they can take with them. Salespeople are coming through. They want to know facts. They want to know data points. They want to know trivia. But they're also foodies because they want to take people out to eat. They want to know where the best places to eat are.
Yeah.
So they, you start to look at, when you look at the psychology, you look at the profile of people, you start to understand what they really want to see when they're traveling, and you start to reverse engineer the entire network.
Yeah, I like that.
So that's really what really helped us tremendously.
Yeah, I love truth and positivity, and skipping local events and politics. I mean, it's pretty much what we do in this show, but in a different spin on it. What you said, guilt though? Why are people guilty? I mean, a little bit off message here, but how did that come into your equation?
Because you're leaving family, you're leaving people behind. There's somebody you're always leaving. So,
I
as
always hated
somebody
that,
with two
especially on Sunday
kids,
nights was also,
exactly.
yes.
It's
Yeah,
there's a big guilt factor. That's why duty free does so well. People are buying gifts all the time on the way back, and if
exactly.
it's not a book, if it's a T-shirt, it's memorabilia, it's whatever it is. That's part of that guilt, and that's why the airports are doing $2.5 billion in revenue in a month. It's not just guilt. I'm saying they do a tremendous amount of revenue, and that's the opportunities in there to be able to affect that revenue and drive people to certain products.
Yeah, and you and I both know the executives at the largest duty free and in store or in airport shops. They're going to be on soon, actually, but they have taken that industry to a whole new level. Tell us how you're doing that with video, just so because most people don't know. So this isn't just a dead screen up in the corner like the old TV airport networks. How's it work?
So right now we're in gates. We're in half, like 30 to 50% of the screens at a bar. We're in lounges. We're in newsstands. And the way we program is very specific. By the push of a button, I can push something nationally. I can push it by DMA. I can push it by airport, by terminal, by gate, by screen. So that gives us the flexibility to know that if you're flying out of Newark Terminal C, that's a United terminal. We know what kind of food are in each one of those terminals. Or if you're an
Brand
A,
new
we know that's
restaurants and club
American.
there, by the way.
Exactly, exactly. No, new restaurants. It's a different energy than I would program Orlando. Right? There's two different types of programs we run. Some things are the same, but we are able to program down to specific screens. And as we evolved, what we saw was the thing that really was sticky and was really incredible was that we could actually affect how people moved and what they bought and what they did. And so we really started to get into the demographics of each airport. And as we moved from truth and positivity, we started going into community and culture and bringing local community and local culture into the airport from a video perspective, because that's exactly what the airports are doing from a retail and a bar perspective. The
Right.
reason that all these airports, if you see the redesign, it's bringing you the local flavors of those communities. And if you stop in to Newark, now you're seeing places that reflect the North Jersey, Central Jersey area. It's kind of cool for somebody who never knows those places. So
I know. I was just there. I was just there yesterday. I was kind of blown away with the. Yeah, it's
yeah,
amazing.
new Terminal A. I flew out of it yesterday, and it's funny because we are telling those stories and putting them on the screen. So the girl that runs there's a cupcake place there. They're based out of Newark. We did a whole profile on them. She's like, literally, people were coming up and going, "I just saw you on the screen. I want to buy some cupcakes."
Yeah, I love
So
that.
I
Yeah.
walked up and said, "Hey, I'm the one that put you on the screen." And she's like, "Oh my God, yeah, we have these, we have these." So it's fun to understand. And I think one of the things that we're driving, I think it's really important to say here is those concessions inside of an airport, a lot of them are small businesses. You may see a big name like a Shake Shack, but it's owned by a small company that's a concession operator. And by telling those stories, what we're also doing is creating empathy between the passengers who are in a rush, and then get lines from the owners, from the entire journey.
Right.
A little bit more compassion between each other, and knowing that we're all struggling, we're all fighting, we're all working, we're all trying to get things done. And I think that's one of the things we're proud of. Being able to create that content and tell these stories, it's really connecting the passengers and these viewers to the people that own the concessions inside the airport.
Yeah, I love that part. And you shifted from truth and positivity to community and culture, but you didn't leave the other two behind. Sounds like you've got four things now, which is really, which is brilliant.
Yeah, it's just an expansion on it. It's
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? It's
exactly.
like
Now it's smart and
truth and positivity.
it's the trend
Yeah,
too. The
yeah. It's a driver, of what drives revenue and
right.
drives people. Is culture, and how can you capture that? And every community has their own way of capturing it, and it's really fun for us to have great production teams and great people that understand and how to see that and tell those stories.
Right.
It's really one of our superpowers, which we're pretty proud of.
Yeah, I'm going to dig into one of those superpowers here. A lot of our viewers like, on Reboot Chronicles, we talk about, how do these leaders reboot their companies or themselves? But let's go with the company first. So we look at people, platform, which is your offerings and things and partnerships, and then passion. Those are the kind of the three buckets. And when you look at the platform part, we usually talk about, do you build stuff yourself? Do you buy it, acquire things? Do you borrow? You seem like you're hitting on all three cylinders. You've acquired some things, but you're like me. You're on the borrow side. That's heavy partnering. You're a deal guy like me. So tell us about some of the deals you've done. From a content perspective, I get it. You're making all types of contents. You're not doing that on your own. And then from everything from NFL to golf to your CNN deal, you seem like you're on a roll.
Yeah, I mean, we are. It's a team of us. It's not just me. I mean, I'm glad that I was one of the founders of Move It. But we always looked at what's best for our viewer, what's best for that journey, what's best for people, and we've always been very astute of looking at the data, really asking tough questions, even about us. Hey, this doesn't look good. This is okay, and we do surveys asking do they like our programming? So you get like 80 something. 80, we went from 71 to 82 that they like our programming. Then you have like 18 that say, yeah, whatever. And then you have one or two to say no. And so we've been really consistent on being able to deliver. And then we've been able to find out what they really love. I'll give you an example. We have CNBC that plays every morning, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. live. Why? Because if you really watch CNBC, it's a really short form programming. It's 5-minute stories. That's all it is.
Exactly.
That runs for 3 hours. So it allows people to go in and out of stories. And it's exactly how people would like to consume. Especially in the morning, you want to be informed. You want to be educated. You want to understand, maybe take some insights that you can bring with you on your day. When you're flying in at 5 o'clock, it's a lot of our business travelers who are going to meetings and going to things. So we're able to give them nuggets that they can take with them from some of the best produced content around. So to your point, we don't need to produce that.
Right.
Like that would be ridiculous for us to try to repeat what
CNBC business
because of that. So I have no ego on.
Do you run it with the?
What's the best program?
Do you run it with the ads too, or you have to do different insertions?
Yeah, we get our own insertions. We get the content, and then we're able to add our own ad insertions into it. A great partnership with NBC. Had one for a long time, and they make great quality content. I mean, that's what they're known for. So, no reason for us to reinvent the wheel. But as we looked at our programming grid and we really dug in, I think 2020 was a watershed moment for us. You asked about rebooting and really getting into it. We went to zero. We were at the point where, is this going to be a business again?
Nobody was traveling.
And that was, 4 years in, and we were at absolute zero. And we had to really look ourselves in the eyes, ask our partners if they valued us. And luckily for us, they did. And so what we did in that time was we turned it around and said, I lost no people, didn't take any PPP, and we were able to cut our costs by 80% because our partners waived our fees so that we could really build up what we were going to be when travel came back. So we had one real quarter that we were zero revenue. By third quarter of that year, we started getting revenue and we're at break even. By fourth quarter, we were already profitable again. But more importantly, throughout that time, we were able to build up our tech stack. We really went into a one-touch idea that every single thing is going to be coming from your phone, that nobody wants to touch anything else. So you can scan our screens now and listen to our content. You can scan our screens and watch it on your phone. We've really built our network now to be a one-touch journey throughout your entire travel experience. And that was during the pandemic that we were able to refocus our business and build it for the future. And then in 21, as you talked about earlier, the opportunity came when CNN, instead of partnering with us, which we had talked about, they made a decision that 30 years in, it was enough. And they decided it was time for them to exit the business. And for us, fortunately, we not only acquired the business, but we also brought in their network ops team who had 25 years experience of working inside the airports. That quality of talent and the obviously additional footprint is where we've grown into now. And it also made us open up to being more up to live. And we saw the trend of what was happening in broadcast, which was the top shows were live sports. the scandals and the things were going away. My favorite show was still Law and Order, but we knew that in an airport, that's not really something you're going to consume as much as you'd love.
Yeah.
So what we saw was live sports was going to really drive it, and then contextual programming around that. So as a deal guy, I started pestering the NFL, and they were tired of my calls, and finally they said, "All right, let's get on this." So we signed a deal with the NFL. We were able to get all the national games. We're the only network that has Thursday night football, Sunday 1 o'clock, Sunday 4 o'clock, Sunday night, Monday night, playoffs, and Super Bowl. And we have that for 3 years. We expanded our contract another 7 years
that's a
last
great
year.
Deal. Great deal.
Yeah. We expanded it last year to include the local game. Because the last thing I want to do is get yelled at by Philly fans because the Eagle game isn't on, or Kansas City fans, so what happens is now, not only do we have those games, we also have the local game in each market. So we've really focused on delivering the best live sports that are really relevant to our audience. And that transition to what you asked about earlier was the live golf. I thought live golf, I got to play in a pro-am. I think golf is a great sport.
I heard you're pretty
our
good.
Audience, I'm not that good, but I love going out there and hacking it up like the rest of us. And
yeah.
I will tell you, a team format in golf is really interesting. I've never seen it before. So, it's just fun. And I think it's just a different perspective, and it brings a lot of energy. And guess what? A much younger audience, because there's DJs, there's food, there's all kinds of movements going on that not a traditional golf game. There's guys coming up to hit their shots with music playing. It's one of
the biggest reboots. I mean, a lot of the athletes had to practice with music, loud music in
Correct.
ear, just so they could zone it out. It's like, oh god.
Yeah.
It's a great.
I will say one thing though. One thing: pro golfers are much better than we are. I mean, I've seen some shots from standing on the field, like Bubba Watson did a shot that hooked around, and it was like nothing to him. And I'm like, these guys we may think we can hit something similar, but they're amazing. But to the point was, we went live with that on Fridays. I had 30 friends of mine who travel all the time. I didn't tell anybody I was busy. They're sending me pictures of this going, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm watching Phil Mickelson. I'm watching Sergio Garcia. I'm watching Bubba Watson do all these cool stuff. And I'm sitting in the airport waiting for my flight. So that was our goal, was how do we engage, bring the content that people are flying want to see. And we've done a good job. We're still building, but we've done a good job on that. And that's something we're really proud of.
So out of the tragedy of airport shutdown, you probably couldn't even get in to maintain your equipment at some point. It's that you've basically rebooted from the data and a technology perspective. You rethought the entire thing. And if that had not happened, you probably would have been on a different trajectory right now. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I think if that didn't happen, I don't know if CNN airport shuts down. I don't know, you know what I mean, if we just keep going. I think we would have still been successful. I think that we took a bigger...
Seems like you made it better, though. You had the pause button helped you. It didn't help every industry, by the way, but it seemed to have helped you.
It helped us because, I always have a saying. A lot of people ask me, why do you do certain things?
Yeah.
My saying is, all the time, I'm always saying this, what got us where we are today is not going to get us where we want to go. So if you're not always looking at what's the ways to innovate, what happens is you're going to start not innovating, and somebody's going to surpass you. Because there's always somebody saying, can I deliver something better than them? And I love competition. I'm a very competitive person, but not in a good way. I like seeing people win. I don't really have competition from other people. I compete so heavily with what I have in my own goals.
Yeah.
That's why I'm always focused so much on what I'm looking at. I kind of put blinders on like a horse in a race. Like I really don't give a damn what anybody else is doing. Because I'm focused on what we have to do. And if we do that well, we'll keep growing, we'll keep expanding, we'll keep looking. And, that was a big risk taken on the CNN, all the assets, all the contracts, all the expenses, all the maintenance, all that. In 21, when people said travel wasn't going to come back until 25 or 26.
Right.
Well, luckily for us, we're in 23 and we're surpassed 2019, which was the busiest year of travel ever. So we're already surpassing the busiest year of travel ever. right now.
So, you've got such a diverse range of content. How do you program it? Because in many airports, you just have one screen. So is your concept to get them to hit a QR code, get it on your phone, and then you can choose to watch other things? Or
Yeah, most of those airports we have many screens. So, like for example, in the Port Authority area,
like
we have like
somebody, like
250 screens.
someone like me, I'm stuck at C-17, and there might be two
Oh,
TVs.
got it. I think the idea is to program to the audience of where we're going. Allow people to scan and then go and do their own look and feel. So we put different shows up that you can binge. So you may see a show like Ticket to Success, for example.
Yeah.
Ticket to Success is our show that we profile these minority-owned concessions inside the airport, which 40% of them are, which nobody knows. And you get to understand and learn their family, who they are, how they started. It's a great entrepreneur success story.
Right.
And we have multiple episodes of those. You could kind of get lost in all of those. We have other shows, Itinerary, which is travel and destinations around the globe. We do 32 episodes a year of those. You can get lost in all those. You can pick cities that you'd love to go to.
That's got to be a hot category for your audience. Oh my gosh.
It's a great category. I mean, it's funny. Our audience loves food.
Yeah.
Our audience are foodies like crazy. So they love all the chef shows, all the people who can go around. We just launched a show with Chef Krista, one with Chef Eric Ajapong from Food Network. People are enamored with these food because you're in an airport. 68% of revenue is food and beverage when you get out of the retail side of it. So it's fun to be able to understand what people are thinking. Home makeovers, room makeovers. People love that stuff because we have the highest indexing audience of people with second homes.
Right.
So when you have a second home, what do? Like, people are at home. They're creating the best home office they could possibly think. They're creating the best man cave because they're there. So it's been fun watching some of these. We have people sending us pictures of their makeovers.
So, when you look at, besides the, rebooting in the middle of zero revenue, which must have been just a daunting experience, and doubling down on buying a company and picking up all their expenses, that's a lot of heartburn. It's not for the faint of heart. What have been some of your other biggest challenges that people can learn from? Maybe not at Reach, maybe at you've done a couple of ventures like some of us.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest challenge I would say to a lot of people, because people ask me all the time, is you have to commit to doing the work. A lot of people see the Instagram version of entrepreneurship, and I laugh about it all the time. It's not for the faint of heart. You need to go in knowing that you're probably 2 to 3, 4 years before you really make money. The average startup doesn't make money for 7 years.
Yeah, and that's
when your success.
The failure rate is extremely high.
Extremely high. In 5th year is when you really get your traction. 6 years, you're really going. 7 is when you start to hit success. Yeah. Are you built to do that and live through that? Because that's not the Instagram part of business.
And is your family ready for that?
You can't do this without the support of an ecosystem of people behind you. And I tell you what drives that motivation for me is I do the business plan. There's not one business that I started or even get involved in that I don't go through the business plan.
Right.
The business plan is not for everybody else. It's for the people internal. It's for you to know that you have a path that you believe in, that you've done the work behind, and that's kind of like your fail safe. Every turn that comes, I was prepared for it.
Yeah.
If I went to my business plan about 6 months ago, we were laughing. I was showing it to our team. I said, look at this. I said, if this, then this, right? These are things that we made as assumptions in the business plan because we did the work, and one of those things was getting into the TV upfronts. It took us, we started trying to do that in 17. We didn't get in until 21. But those 4 years of fighting and people saying no, and no, you're not TV, and
right.
getting in.
That's a big goal. Yeah. Getting a little geeky, but for those of us who've been in media, that's like so good to get that money up front, or at least the commitments. But Yeah, the
Correct.
and the business
I'm
plan, you probably threw one out once in a while too, as you reboot and pivot.
Well, I think that my personal belief is you always have your goals in mind,
Yeah,
but nothing goes straight line. It's
no,
always all over the place, and you have to, while staying to your principles, you need to move and adapt to what the ways to get to that same thing.
yeah,
And we've always stayed to this is what we believe in. This is what we're going to do. We don't care if there's other monies that come. There's a principal part of what we're not going to do. The rest I'm open for.
right.
And so, the other thing for me, I'm very proud of is our our staff. I look at the best people out there that I can bring in. It just happens. I turn around sometimes and I look at it and go, wow, I have, the Rainbow Coalition and I have a lot of women that are leaders. It's because they were the best people I saw out there.
Yeah.
And it just organically happens. So, I think for me, this commitment, the world was changing. People were talking about things, but I think you got to have it in your core. If you really believe in people, shouldn't matter what they look like. You should go look at the best people. You want to help build those people and help drive them to the next level.
Yep.
So I'm always looking at how can I help the people that work for me be successful, and obviously you become successful because of that.
Yeah, I love
So
it.
I've done that in multiple companies, and it's always helped serve me to be really successful because I'm helping other people be successful.
I'm going to ask you a little bit about your best personal challenge, but I just thought one last business question. Where's this? Where do you see Reach TV in 3, 4, 5 years? And what are you doing with the airlines? Are you going to be on all the planes and globally? What are your expansion plans without
Yeah.
giving away all your secrets? But
Well, expansion is we're going to be in 30 countries over the next 12 to 24 months. Expansion will be in flight. We already powering Sports 24 in partnership with Endeavor, 24-hour sports channel, which we do a lot of the advertising in partnerships with them. We're also bringing content in from them.
yeah,
So you view 24 months from now, Reach will probably be on most of your airlines, in the mobile apps, as that free entertainment when you're in the sky.
right.
We'll be in 30 different countries, a bunch of bars, gates, everything. And we're going to focus on owning the travel media space and be that go-to streaming television network in that space with live sports and premium content. That will be what we keep going.
And how about enabling shopping and things like that?
I came from that. So
I know.
shopping has always been,
Yeah.
if you really want to know the other genesis of why Reach TV, it was, I tried to buy Sky Mall. I felt that Sky Mall needed a reboot,
It did.
and somebody else had bought it. And I thought that Sky Mall, even to this day,
Yep.
as a person that flies all the time,
Yeah.
I bought so much stuff from Sky Mall
Yeah.
magazine. It's ridiculous.
It was
And
just a paper magazine.
that was
For those of you that haven't been
yeah.
flying that long, it was just a paper magazine back in the day. It was terrible.
But I bought from Stonegate. Like, I still remember the name, Stonegate. I bought the outside furniture. I bought a coffee table. I bought covers for my golf clubs. I mean, I bought all kinds of useless stuff
Yeah.
that I loved because I was stuck on a plane and it was very entertaining.
Yes.
At one point, you just don't want to do work. You just want to be whisked away into something else. So,
Right.
e-commerce is something I've done. I've always been a retailer at heart. So yes, in our plan, we will be growing into where shopping is ability. And right now, we're getting that fixed by driving that revenue with our partners currently inside the airport.
Yeah.
And we're going to help them be able to go outside the airport. And so that's a plan. That's a bigger lift. While we run this media network, I'm going to start to work with our partners to expand that out. But
Yep.
it's been great.
Especially travel business, rental cars, hotels, all that
Yeah.
stuff. So we really want to thank you for being on, Lynnwood. It's been a pleasure, especially someone, that's just hitting on all cylinders. It's, if we had talked to you a few years ago, it wouldn't have been as rosy, I know. So it's so good to see you come out of that chasm of, not everyone has, by the way. What's been your toughest personal challenge, or reboot as we call it here, that people could maybe learn from?
I think I don't know if it was the toughest. I think it was probably a realization. I grew up in Middletown, New Jersey. I grew up with a lot of people that do really well, but not my family, right? So you were always wondering about where your value is. And then I worked at a company that will forever change me, which was called Cutco. It's vector marketing. We sold cocoa
Know
knives,
it well. My
and
son did too.
and
Yeah.
people used to talk about it, but I did really well. I sold $25,000 worth in the summer. To this day,
Nice.
if you meet a fellow Cutco person, they can tell you average sale. Mine was $383. Closing ratio, mine was 93%. How times your presentation, mine was 73 minutes. So we all know these things. And what happened was in there is I got to meet my friends' parents and really start to understand how to talk to people. And it also helped me with my own value. And to this day, I'm friends with a lot of people's parents more than I am my even friends. So it was a life changing thing. It taught me a lot about business. It taught me a lot about believing in yourself, and it's helped me. I still pull from that every day. It's
love it.
part of your DNA. So it was early on, and it really helped me. And it probably spurred me being more of an entrepreneur than me working in corporate gigs. But it's been something that when people think about it, they don't like, oh, that's sort of. It was transformative, and I think it was a good experience. It's a great experience for me. And I think it's a great experience for a lot of people.
Yeah, paid off. Great background. Thanks, Lynnwood. You've been listening to Lynnwood Bibbens, who is the CEO of ReachTV. This is Dean DeBias with the Reboot Chronicles. I want to thank you for joining us today, and we will see you soon.